Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for being here again this week. And if you're new, welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm Angie. I am an above knee amputee, and no, I don't always look like this. Today was a very long day over at the horses, and it was a total joy. It's getting warm though, and it is tough. So I'm a little worse for wear, but I thought, you know what? This is the perfect way to show up for this show because today I'm going to talk a little bit about dressing for success. Now, I know that sounds really weird coming from an amputee kind of podcast, but just so you know, if you are new, my last couple years on this podcast have more transition to how I handle everyday ups and downs. And yes, as an amputee, but I don't really specifically draw to, hey, if you're an amputee dealing with this, it's more about if you're struggling in life with anything medical or just a situation that's hard. I like to talk to the heart and what I use to overcome because quite frankly, what I'm going through as an amputee is very different from what you're going through, but it also is in the same bucket. We all have our ups, we all have our downs, and we all have to learn how to adapt and move forward. And so, even though I am an amputee, and yes, I usually push more towards how I deal with it, and I know some of you listen because you're interested on how amputees do things, or you're trying to figure out how to handle your amputee life or someone you're supporting that's an amputee or going to be one. I hope you understand that everything I do talk about truly comes from the spirit of the only reason I have this podcast is because I feel very grateful that I have been able to become an amputee electively. And I have what I would say successfully navigated the first 5 years so far. It has not been easy, but I am proud of how far I've come. I am at peace where I'm at. I'm at peace with my decision. And that right there is about 90% of becoming an amputee and being able to be successful. I've told a lot of amputees that had wrong done to them to become an amputee, like a car accident or a motorcycle accident, and not being their fault, but somebody else's that put them in the situation. And quite frankly, I listen to their heart when I talk to them. And there are a lot that are very, very angry, very bitter, and probably have some vengefulness to them. And rightfully so. I mean, I would not be the one to judge that. But I will tell you that until someone forgives and moves forward, they will always be stuck in that negativity, and that negativity is bringing them down. So I digress on that, but we all do have stuff that we are going through. And so my personal journey does come from a place of depth because I've lost a limb and it has been hard. But I started thinking, so let's go back here. I told you I was at the horses today. For those of you that don't know me, I don't own any horses personally outright, but my friend has a nonprofit and she rescues, and she necessarily wasn't rescuing originally until all the stars aligned. And I hadn't talked to her for many, many years. Our kids were friends growing up, little kids. And out of the blue, after having my amputation and our kids were high school, college, and out of college, did I have an encounter with horses that was so profound and life-changing in a positive way that I reached out to her because I know she was a horse person. And long story short, it happened to be a God wink because she told me the very next day she was going to be rescuing a horse that was going to be euthanized and that I should come over and be a part of it. And her openness, her givingness, her unselfish ways, she's always giving from the heart and doesn't think twice about what she'll get out of it. I went there and this horse and I connected on such a deep level so quickly that even she was astounded. And she rightfully said, you know what, don't know what shape this horse is in. We found out she was pregnant. They were going to euthanize the baby and her. And we didn't know if they didn't know she was pregnant, didn't know. We had no idea if whatever mated with her was going to be such a huge horse that it could kill her. We didn't know anything. And so she said, if the horse makes it and is savable after giving birth, she's yours. Just give when you can and love her as much as you possibly humanly can too. So that was over 3 years ago. And here I am, still deeply in love with this beautiful horse. Sakari is her name. And her colt made it. He's a beautiful, huge horse being trained by some cowboys. But I was there because we have now started rescuing more, and we have a couple new rescues on property, and we have possibly 3 more coming in the next week or so. So it's going to get kind of crowded and crazy. And so I was like, I did a lot of travel in the last few months, and I'm back. And all of our birthdays and celebrations in my family are almost done, with my husband's birthday coming up here in about a week. And I'm now can ground myself with my normal routine, which is going to the gym and going to the horses. That's a big portion of my day. And the horses I take care of, I groom them, I talk with them, and then they kind of take care of me. I spend time just sitting in peace and quiet and observing their behaviors, their nuances, their movements, their sounds. And it's been life-changing. And I never knew I could have a life like that at this age. Again, didn't know I would be an amputee at my age either. So, life throws you curveballs and you learn to work with them. So today I thought, gosh, I really want to share this with you. And truly, if you've ever listened to my podcast, normally I'm inspired by something from week to week, something that's happened to me that I think pertains to, it's a real world situation that pertains to something that can help us grow, okay, or heal, or whatever it is you're in the midst of. So I'm going to tell you, number one, being an above knee amputee and putting jeans and heavy boots on is tough. Walking on uneven ground and dirt. I almost wiped out 3 times today because I think I had my toe pointed down too much and I hit dirt and just almost fell. Caught myself, thank God. But I finally, for the first time, went in to the stalls with our 2 new rescues. After working with my horse and spending time with her and grooming her, I led her back into her pen so she could finish eating her morning hay. And I went over, and we have a gelding and a miniature. And the miniature is very skittish. They're friends. They came together as a pair. And the gelding is just old. He's, I think, in his early 20s. And he had really bad arthritis in his back hips. So we are just kind of loving on him and talking. I talk sweet talk with him, tell him he's a pretty boy and a handsome young man. And so that's just like my day. And gosh, I don't know if I could make it through the day without talking to an animal. I talk to my dogs all day long when I'm with them. So I am that crazy woman, but I do believe they pick up on it. They understand. And the other thing it helps me do is it helps me when I get around, especially a new horse, to remember the starting point I had with Sakari. And that was be gentle, be quiet, be slow in your actions, and preemptively tell the horse what you want to do. Give them the respect, because they do get it. They understand more than you think. And quite frankly, sometimes I believe they're smarter than us. And so today was one of those days where I had gone to the store and I noticed that he yesterday had these huge knots in his mane, and the kind of knots that I'm thinking, gosh, I may have to cut these out because they're really, really big knots. And it was sad. But I bought this heavy duty concentrated mane and tail conditioner, and like a shine and a detangler. And I took a brush over, and I took over a grooming tool because he was just fluffy. They're still losing their winter shed. And so I finally went in there, had my treats on hand, gave him something to focus on while I slowly touched his head, his face, his neck, his four shoulders right there, and worked my way back before I presented a comb or a brush, and to see how he took it. And he's such a sweet, sweet, gentle giant. And so he was great. So I started using the shedding comb, and I was taking out an awful lot of hair. I mean, so much hair. I mean, some bird is going to be very, very excited to nest in a horsehair nest and have babies in it, because there's a lot floating around there now. And then it came time to work on the mane, and I literally just gobbed this gel in my hand and just wiped it all over his mane, started brushing. The knot was going nowhere. I had to start pulling it out little by little and give him another treat because he started to get a little antsy with me, and I was trying to be gentle yet firm. And anyways, did finally get that knot out. I had to finally tear a portion of it out, which was so sad, but he looks great. I mean, he was all shiny and new, like a little new penny. He had sparkles in him, and it just, I don't know what it was, but the way the shine hit him and his kind of a reddish tan backside, it was just magical. And that's when I got inspired to think about what today might bring for this podcast. Now, I had like 2 other options that I wanted to talk to you about today, but this one wins, and it is dress for success. And I thought, how can that tie in? Well, I will tell you right now, normally I don't feel and look as dirty as I do on this show right now. Usually my hair is done, not my cowboy hat on, not, if you're looking at my shirt, it's an Ariat shirt, black, it's probably got tan hair all over it. If you look up close, my jeans have spit and everything on it from wiping my hands from the horses. You name it, I'm a mess. My horse looked like a mess today. Both of them, they roll in the dirt. You start to brush them, and it's like you uncover a pound of dirt on their backside. And no matter how hard you brush, it just seems to keep building. Sakari is a dark, dark horse. So the more I brush, the tanner her butt gets, because the dirt just keeps coming up. And with this guy, he was visibly filthy with the knots in his mane and everything. And I started going, you know what? We can sit around and we go through our stints. And I know you're there. I know some of you are there. You're going through a hard spell in your life. And quite frankly, the last thing you want to do is get up and take care of yourself. So maybe you just had the weekend and you really didn't get up early. You slumped around your house. You really didn't change your clothes. Maybe you didn't even shower, because who cares? No one's around. But I will tell you that when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you can find successes in your day. And that's kind of where this all started to come from. Like, my horses, when they look good externally to us, when we can physically see they look groomed and bathed and brushed, and their feet are clean, and you know, their farrier's done a nice job, they look wonderful, and they get a spring to their step. Like, every time I give my horse a bath afterwards, she runs and runs and runs and runs like crazy, and she becomes like this little pony again, and she's just excited about life. And it's almost like a breath of fresh air, especially when it's hot here too, because it also cools her down. And so there's all these good feelings that happen. And you know what? They deserve it. They can't comb their hair and get that fluff off without rolling and rolling, and it's slowly coming off in patches. So we do what we can. We do that with our dogs, you know, an animal that we're in taking care of. If you have even a rodent of some sort, a guinea pig or a bunny, you keep it clean. You keep their bed clean. You tidy up where they live, right? And all those things make them healthy and happy and well adjusted. So why would that be different for people? So when we go about our day and we're pissed off at the world because everything is going wrong, and you hurt, you're not getting the right diagnosis, you're going back in for surgery, or surgery failed, you have no more answers, no one can help you, and you feel like you're at the end of your rope, ask yourself first, how do you look? How are you feeling about yourself? Because I know that I am at my worst when I am not physically active. And I was born to be physically active. I am my father's daughter. He was type A personality, constantly on the go until he wasn't, and that would be at night, sit down on a chair, and he was out, and then my mom would drag him off to bed because it was silly to be sleeping in a chair. Well, the same thing goes for us. Why would we think we would be any different and handle life in a healthy, positive way if we aren't taking care of ourselves? So that might mean getting up, getting dressed and showered, and girls getting some makeup on so you look like you've tried, doing your hair a little bit. I mean, I'm the worst case scenario. I'm usually the baseball cap girl, but darn it, I always have clean clothes on and fresh makeup on. But I really hate doing my hair day after day when it's 100 plus degrees the majority of our year, and all I do is sweat anyways. So hats are a thing here, and they probably will always be. But with the right hat, you can feel great. So as I'm sitting there thinking about all this, and then I started watching this one video, and I thought it was really perfect because it's that moment of, when do things start to look up for you? Are you waiting for a positive diagnosis? Are you waiting for that surgery that's finally going to fix you? Are you waiting for the ball to drop somewhere so that you get a smack in the face on what has to come next? Are you just sitting around waiting? And if you are, then I need to ask you, are you waiting for something to come along that will make you feel better? Or are you proactively figuring out what you can do right now in the midst of the struggle, in the midst of the downfall of your life that you think is going on right now? So as an amputee, I can tell you there was not a wasted moment. The moment I was an amputee, I challenged myself to do stuff. That was what helped me be successful in my eyes. And I've talked about success on my podcast before. Everyone defines success differently. For some people, it might be getting up and getting out of bed and finally getting clothes on by yourself because you really struggle with getting clothes on. I mean, it's hard. Sometimes I have a hard time getting my right sock on my good leg because my counterbalance is off when I don't have my prosthetic on. So I get it. There's things that happen. Getting jeans on is a struggle in the morning. So yeah, success might be something as simple as getting up and getting moving on your own. Great, then do it. But the video that I saw today that made me even spin deeper into this dress for success was a video that stated, when you don't want to make your bed, that's when you make your bed. When you don't feel like studying, that's when you study. When you don't feel like working out, that's when you work out. Are you getting the picture here? When we are up against something that we really just don't want to do, or just feeling blah, and I've been there for a while. I mean, I've just finally got myself going back to the gym and getting back to my horses because it's a lot of work just to get dressed this way and then lug around heavy cowboy boots. But when you don't want to do something, that is the moment you do it. Because what you are doing is building up that callus in your mind that makes you repeat the negative behavior or the lack of motivation. So you have to build up the motivation each day to do stuff. And that goes the same for amputees, anybody struggling in life with a medical condition, a financial situation, a relationship, a job, whatever it is that you're struggling with. If you're not dressing for success and pushing your limits when you tell yourself, oh, I don't want to do this. Yeah, it would be really easy for me to say, this week I'm not doing a podcast. I'm just going to sit and watch a movie because nobody's at home right now. It's me and the dogs. It's a hot, sunny day. I could be outside, but boy, that couch and a glass of water and just enjoying a good movie with no strings attached would be the easiest and path of least resistance. But guess what? At the end of the day, that movie ends. My family comes home. I need to do dinner. And what am I going to say I've showed for that whole day? I've done nothing. I've done nothing productive, nothing that helps me be successful or draws me closer to a passion I have. And some days the hardest decision is to do the thing you don't want to do, even though you know you should. And sometimes that is simply cleaning yourself up, getting dressed, and getting outside, getting out and doing something. And so if I'm going to sit there and I'm going to spend all this time, 90% of my time with my horses is grooming them, because I know it makes me feel good to see them clean, and I know that makes them healthy and stronger and live longer, then dang it, that's what I'm going to do. So the same goes for me. So I'm going to make sure that I get cleaned up every day. My routine as an amputee is different. Like every night I shower so that in the morning I can just do my hair and my makeup and put on some clothes. Because once I'm up, I don't need my legs swelling. I have to put my prosthetic on right away. And if I took a shower, that's when all the fluids start to pool at the end of my residual limb. And then I can't put my socket on well. So I've learned that. It took a while, but I learned it. Now I know it works for me. But I will tell you that I go to bed clean every night. And I wake up every morning ready to tackle the day. Even if I go to the gym, even if I go to my horses, I put some makeup on because it makes me feel together. It makes me feel happy. It makes me feel healthy, and I feel like I look healthier and I look happy and I look like I'm in a right good place. And then the sky's the limit after that. Maybe I'll run into someone I haven't seen before or seen for a long time, and I make a new friend. What happens if? What happens if? And I am ready for all those possible doors to open. But if I fail that and I don't dress for success, if I just choose not to do something, and I choose not to make my bed, and I choose not to clean up my kitchen every morning, and I choose not to put on a clean pair of pants because I'm just going to sit around the house and mope and do nothing and wait for life to happen, then I'm going to become sicker and unhealthy, and I'm going to start to mentally decay because I'm not going to be happy with myself. At the end of the day, if I haven't cleaned up my kitchen and made my bed and then tidied up my house, picked up pillows, straightened up blankets, and put dog toys away, I don't like going to bed. Because I don't want to wake up the next morning and have that chaos, because that starts my next day out wrong. So when I say dress for success, it could be your clothes. It could be your hair and makeup routine. It could be how you get your day ready so that by evening you feel complete and your house is not in chaos and your world is not a disaster and out of control. When your world that you live in, whether it's an office or your home, is picked up and tidied, and you go to bed in a bed that's neatly made versus disheveled, you can go to bed feeling rested, and that will translate to a healthy place to be. So take it from me. My horse, I know he feels better today because that was the first time I bet he's had that grooming done since we got him, because I know how hard it is to get those knots out, because I spent about 15 minutes trying to get a knot out of his hair, and he was very patient with me. But dress for success. Dress for what you want in life and do it. Do it all. When you don't want to do something, that's when you dig down deep and do it. I want to go for a hike. Oh, well, maybe tomorrow. Guess what? Tomorrow doesn't come. And if you wait till tomorrow, you're going to feel more miserable. Trust me, I know. When I say I'm going to start eating better, but I binge today and tomorrow, I go to bed feeling miserable, like I let myself down. And quite frankly, that is probably the worst person to let down is yourself. You have you, and you need to fight for what you want. And if you want a healthy lifestyle and you want to feel good, even in the midst of pain and suffering and circumstances that suck, then you need to do these things to mentally and emotionally make yourself in a better place, because then the physical will follow. It may not be instant, but at least you're on the right path of good, positive behaviors that will get you to a better place. I spent 5 years doing surgeries, 5 years of trying to make things work with my knee. And it finally came down to me deciding to amputate. And it was a hard, big decision that you cannot go back on once it's made. And I don't regret it, because from that moment on, I took the reins. I took control of my life and I decided what I wanted. And that helped me say, well, guess what? You chose this path. Now you live it. I don't want life to happen to me. I want to make life happen for me. So I hope this helps someone that's listening. Get out there, dress for success today. Start a positive behavior that way. And it starts with just the simplest things like being clean and just getting yourself gussied up. Every once in a while, I like to put on a nice dress, do my hair up real nice, put on nice jewelry that's not meant for dirt and farm life, and go out on a date with my husband. And that's actually what we're going to do tonight. I'm so excited. So this girl has to get out of this garb and go and clean up for her man. And I hope and pray that you are having a blessed week. I hope that this feeds you for the next week. And yes, call to action is pretty simple this week. Call to action, get out there and get dressed up. And whatever that means to you, get dressed up for success. You will not fail if you look and feel great. Even when you feel like crap on the inside, start with the window dressing. All right. So your call to action this week is do it. The next 7 days, make sure you get rid of the bad habits you've been forming by staying in your pajamas or getting into sweats and just not caring. And maybe you work from home and you've just decided, well, I'll just put a shirt on that's clean and looks nice here, but everything else, I'm just dressed completely. We've worked so hard on going on this remote world since COVID that everybody dresses for what they get to conceive, like from their chest up, and wearing boxer shorts or sweats down below just to be comfortable. But sometimes we let that happen and we get into a rut. So this week I challenge you, dress for success and see what happens. See how it starts to make you mentally and emotionally feel, and then see if in a week you notice any physical changes for you in your life. And report back to me. I want to hear. I would love to hear from some of you on what you've tried and if this makes sense to you. So reach out to me. You can respond on my YouTube channel or at Be a Warrior 360 on Instagram or Facebook. But I would love to hear from you. So until next time, and as always, be healthy, be happy, be you.